Greetings, everyone. Dr. Anita Stewart McCafferty here with you, welcoming you to Module 1 of EDU 679, Supervision and Evaluation of Teachers. This first week will focus on the purposes of supervision and evaluation, and also examine our own experiences with supervision and evaluation, and also the experiences of some of our colleagues. And one of the reasons I like to start courses with uncovering and becoming a little bit clearer about our own experiences is because we find that they really help shape our perceptions of whatever the concept is. And in this case, supervision and evaluation. Because supervision and evaluation is such a fundamental skill set and an important part of any effective school or district leader, we really want to make sure that we're thinking carefully about what it means to do supervision and evaluation well. So when it's effective, and then also when it's not so effective. So we'll look at that, as well as really thinking about the purposes of supervision and evaluation. Our guiding questions for this module are to explore what the varied purposes of supervision and evaluation are, and which purposes do we believe to be the most important. A second guiding question: what have been your experiences and the experiences of your colleagues with supervision and evaluation to date? And how do those experiences inform your beliefs around the purposes and effectiveness of supervision and evaluation? And the third guiding question is for us to consider what we believe at this point in the game, the key components of supervision and evaluation done well are. So really thinking about what would be the key components, main characteristics, the processes that we need to have in place in order to do supervision and evaluation well. During this week, you will begin reading from our common text, which is the Kim Marshall book on rethinking teacher supervision and evaluation. It's the second edition, and the subtitle of that is How to Work Smart, Build Collaboration, and Close the Achievement Gap. Now, Kim Marshall was an educator, an educational leader from the Boston area, so from South Boston, and you'll have the opportunity to really delve into his perspectives. So as you read chapter 1, it's going to be one of the ways that we delve into perspectives around the purposes of supervision and evaluation. When you click on the Module 1 readings and viewings, you're going to have the opportunity to watch a webinar by Douglas Reeves, another really iconic educational leader, and Kim Marshall, as they talk about doing teacher supervision and evaluation right. So between chapter 1 of Kim Marshall's book and the webinar, you're going to get a couple of perspectives on the purposes of supervision and evaluation. You're also going to read a number of articles this week from different perspectives. And that's the idea here, is to expose you to different ways of thinking about what supervision and evaluation are all about and what the desired outcomes are around those. So of course, Robert Marzano is one of the leading a leading thought leader around supervision and evaluation, and his Art and Science of Teaching is one of the major frameworks that we find being used here in Maine, but also throughout the country and beyond. So you're going to read an article about what he believes to be the two purposes of teacher evaluation. You're also going to read from the perspective of Charlotte Danielson. And Charlotte Danielson is an author of another framework. So the Danielson Group has put out a framework, and you're going to read an article about evaluations that help teachers learn. So it gives you a window into her perspective about what the major point or desired outcome is for evaluations. Then you're going to look at a report that came out from the NEA, so the National Education Association, and it's their framework for transforming education systems to support effective teaching and improve student learning. So it's all about teacher assessment and evaluation. So again, an important perspective for you to consider. And then a different perspective coming from the Fordham Institute and their report, which is the article, excuse me, which is a conversation between Bellwether and Fordham. So it's on what the purpose is of teacher evaluation. So those are going to be 5 major perspectives that you're going to have, sort of what Marshall and Douglas Reeves had to say, Marzano, Danielson, the NEA, and then Fordham Institute. So that's going to help ground us in some of the literature. But you're also going to work with the discussion board in being able to unpack your own experiences and beliefs at this point around supervision and evaluation. So I encourage you to even do this discussion prompt first, where before you even do a lot of the reading. So to think about what is it that you believe, and then we'll see, if your belief system around the purpose of supervision and evaluation, what it looks like to do it right. Does it remain the same throughout this course, or does it morph in small ways or in significant ways? So what I'd like for you to do for the first discussion prompt, there are 2 this week, by the way, 2 discussion boards that you'll be working on. One of them is this idea about reflecting on your own experiences. And there are 4 prompts that you're going to consider. One is to be able to identify an instance when supervision or evaluation worked well for you and to describe that. The second is the converse. What's been an instance when supervision or evaluation didn't work particularly well for you? A third is what might a supervisee, so a teacher or another educational personnel, what might they hope to get from a reasonably done supervision or evaluation? And then I'd like for you to think about what you already have for feelings or preconceived notions around the effective educator law, especially which is established here in Maine, but it has similar laws and mandates in other states. So if you're not from Maine, you could certainly examine or think about your Maine DOE or your legislature's view on teacher evaluation. So you might say, I just love it. I think it's the best thing in the world. I hate it. I really am indifferent. And a lot of times people say, what? There's legislation around that, or there's specific policy coming out of the Department of Ed? I'm not really aware of that. And so it's really thinking through that. That will be discussion prompt number 1 for you, so that forum. The second discussion forum that you'll be involved in this week is asking for you to gather teacher evaluation plans or handbooks or forms from your particular school or district. Now, if you're not working in a school or district right now, then please just go ahead and look online on a school or district's website of your choice. So that's the idea, so that we can start to gather and then be able to look at the variety of ways that teacher evaluation is done within, sometimes within neighboring towns. It looks quite different. So there will be similarities and differences. And I encourage you, once you access yours and upload it, to browse what other colleagues have to say about that. So remember, in both of these discussion forums for this week, it's your opportunity to really dig in and begin right from the get-go to learn from one another. Now, your assignment for this week is 2 parts, and one of them is to take those same 4 prompts that you're asked to reflect on about your own experiences with supervision and evaluation, and to ask those prompts to a minimum of 2 of your colleagues. So certainly feel free to interview many more than that, and you're going to share via your submission your notes from those colleague interviews. So your interview might be an email that you have, it might be in text format, you might do a video conference, a phone call, Likely you're not doing a whole lot of face-to-face communication right now, but it could be face-to-face as well. So you're going to drop your notes in there. And this is really the idea for you to start to think about, oh, what's similar about my experiences? What's different about them? And then our goal will be to continue to share and learn from a variety of perspectives this week, and certainly as we move through the course. The second part of that assignment for this week is for you to submit a summary, a brief summary. So, a couple of pages or less of your reflection on the purposes of teacher evaluation. So once you've watched the webinar, once you've done the readings for this week, you've interviewed your colleagues, you've reflected on your own experiences and your own beliefs, then I'd like for you to be able to do a summary. So what are you thinking about the purposes of teacher evaluation? And make sure that you include reference citations to your readings, to colleagues, to the webinar, what have you, so that I have a feel for what's informing your opinion at this point. Again, I encourage you with the assignment submission not to write right in the submission box, because frankly, when it comes to me, it's all scrunched in tiny font and there are no spacing. So I would really appreciate it if you would instead compose it on a Word, document of your choice. So it could be Microsoft Word, Google Docs, you could PDF it, Pages, anything like that, and then just upload it. So browse your computer and upload it. That would be really helpful to me from a reading and then feedbacking and grading perspective. I hope you have a wonderful week really exploring experiences that you and your colleagues have had with supervision and evaluation and the various purposes, because those purposes really should then guide the structures and the processes that we put into practice around supervision and evaluation. Enjoy, and I look forward to reading what you have to say on the discussion board. Make sure, if you haven't already, make sure please that you introduce yourself on the discussion board. You could do that with a short little video, include photos. It could be in narrative format, but it helps us when we get to know each other. Thanks so much. Enjoy.